stop right there. Before you scroll away, let me ask you something that will shatter everything you think you know about human relationships. Do you think being nice gets you respect? Do you believe that constantly seeking approval builds strong connections? That bending over backwards for everyone makes you valuable? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you're about to discover the most dangerous lie modern society has ever sold you. The biggest mistake people make is believing that chasing approval equals earning respect. But here's the brutal truth. Approval seeking is like quicksand. The harder you struggle for it, the deeper you sink. Your relationships, your career, your entire sense of self-worth, everything gets swallowed up. Machiavelli figured this out 500 years ago. He watched leaders who desperately sought to be loved get destroyed by the very people they tried to please. He witnessed rulers who chased popularity lose everything they had built. And he wrote down the dark secret that separates those who command rooms from those who disappear in them. Today, I'm going to share his hidden truth with you. The shocking difference between approval and respect that nobody talks about. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn why your need to be liked is actually making you invisible. Why people don't value your kindness, they exploit it. And most importantly, how to transform from someone who begs for validation into someone who naturally commands respect without saying a word. But first, let me be crystal clear about something. I'm not telling you to become cruel or manipulative. I'm not asking you to hurt people. What I'm showing you is how to be strong strategically, not weak desperately. Because the reality is, in a world full of people trying to use you, being a pushover gets you trampled. Now I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. Respect over approval. From today, everything changes. You will no longer beg for validation. You will command respect through strength. Let's start with the first shocking truth that will change how you see every relationship in your life. Number 1, the hidden weakness of being liked. Think about the person in your life who tries hardest to be liked by everyone. Now think about this carefully. Do people actually respect that person, or do they see them as someone they can easily manipulate? The truth is devastating. Being desperate to be liked makes you predictable, and predictable people get used. When you constantly seek approval, you're sending a clear message to everyone around you. You're telling them that their opinion of you matters more than your own principles. You're showing them that you'll compromise your values, your time, and your energy just to avoid their disapproval. And once people know you're afraid of their rejection, they have power over you. Think about how this plays out in real life. You're the person who always says yes, even when you want to say no. You're the one who laughs at jokes that aren't funny just to fit in. You're the friend who always pays for dinner, always gives rides, always helps people move. But somehow you're never the one people call when they have good news to share. You've become useful, not valuable. Convenient, not respected. Here's what Machiavelli understood that most people never learn. People are drawn to strength, not weakness. They follow confidence, not desperation. They respect boundaries, not endless availability. When you make yourself too easy to access, too eager to please, too quick to forgive, you don't become loved. You become taken for granted. Let me tell you about someone I knew. He was the nicest guy in the office. Always volunteered for extra work, always covered for his colleagues, always put everyone else's needs before his own. He thought being helpful would make him indispensable. But when promotion time came, they chose someone else. Someone who wasn't nearly as nice, but commanded respect through competence and clear boundaries. Why? Because nice people don't look like leaders. They look like servants. The psychological reality is this. When you desperately need someone's approval, you give them control over your emotions. Every interaction becomes a test of whether you're good enough, smart enough, worthy enough. And that desperation has a smell that everyone can detect from miles away. It repels the very respect you're trying so hard to earn. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose power over popularity. Number 2, the dark psychology of approval addiction. Here's something that will blow your mind. Your need for approval isn't just a personality trait. It's an actual addiction that's being used against you by people who understand exactly how it works. When someone gives you a compliment, likes your post, or tells you you're wonderful, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that's released when people use drugs. You feel amazing, really amazing. And just like any drug, once that high wears off, you need another hit. You need more validation, more praise, more evidence that you matter. But here's where it gets sinister. The people around you figure out this pattern real quick. They learn that a tiny bit of approval can get you to do almost anything. Need you to work late without overtime pay, a little praise about your dedication. Need you to lend them money, a compliment about how generous you are. Need you to ignore their bad behavior, some sweet talk about how understanding you are. They're literally using your brain chemistry against you, and the worst part is you're helping them do it by being so hungry for their validation that you'll take whatever scraps they throw your way. This is why approval addiction is so dangerous. It makes you easy to control. People know exactly which buttons to push to get you to do what they want, but people who don't need approval, they're impossible to manipulate this way. You can't control someone with compliments if they don't need compliments. You can't manipulate someone with acceptance if they don't crave acceptance. You can't use their emotions against them if their self-worth doesn't depend on your opinion. Think about how this plays out in relationships. The approval addict changes their personality depending on who they're with. They have different opinions in different groups. They hide parts of themselves that might not be popular. They become a collection of masks instead of a real person. Meanwhile, people who don't need approval stay consistent. They're the same person in every room. They express their real opinions regardless of how others react. And here's the irony that will shock you. This authenticity makes them more respected and genuinely liked than any approval seeker ever will be, because people are naturally drawn to those who don't need them. We want what we can't have. We dismiss what comes too easily. When you chase approval, you're literally making yourself less valuable in everyone's eyes. You become the person they call when they need something, not the person they respect. You become background noise in their lives instead of someone they genuinely admire. Machiavelli once said that men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. People see what you appear to be more clearly than they understand what you really are. And when you appear desperate for their approval, that's exactly how they'll treat you, as someone desperate and weak. The brutal truth about validation is this: it's cheap to give and expensive to receive. Anyone can tell you you're wonderful. It costs them nothing. But for you to feel good about yourself, you need to hear it over and over again from more and more people. You become dependent on something that others control. Breaking completely approval addiction isn't easy. Your brain will fight you every step of the way. It will tell you that without others' approval, you'll be alone and rejected. It will make you feel guilty for not caring what others think. It will try to pull you back into the pattern of seeking validation. This is where real strength begins. You have to consciously choose to stop seeking approval, even when every fiber of your being wants to chase it. You have to be willing to be disliked, misunderstood, and criticized. You have to value your own opinion more than the opinions of everyone else combined. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My worth comes from within. Number 3, the illusion of safety through niceness. Here's a truth that might make you uncomfortable but will set you free. Being nice doesn't protect you. In fact, it makes you a target. Every single person who's ever walked all over you, dismissed your ideas, or treated you like you don't matter, had one thing in common. They knew you needed their approval more than they needed yours. When you make being liked your priority, you become what psychologists call a safe target. People know they can dump their problems on you because you won't push back. They know they can cancel plans last minute because you'll understand. They know they can take credit for your work because you won't make a scene. You've trained everyone around you that disrespecting you comes with zero consequences. But here's what happens when you flip the script. When you make it clear that your time has value, that your energy isn't free, that crossing you comes with a cost. Suddenly, people start watching their words around you. They start thinking before they act. They start treating you like someone who matters. This isn't about being mean or aggressive. This is about understanding that boundaries without consequences aren't boundaries at all. They're suggestions, and nobody respects suggestions from someone who's afraid to enforce them. Let me paint you a picture. There are 2 managers in the same company. Manager A is beloved by everyone. Always says yes to requests, never gives negative feedback, always covers for people's mistakes. Manager B is respected but not necessarily liked. Sets clear expectations, follows through on consequences, doesn't accept excuses. Guess which one gets promoted? Guess which team performs better? Guess which manager people actually trust with important projects? The answer might surprise you if you've been living in the approval-seeking world. It's Manager B every single time. Because people don't follow those they can manipulate. They follow those they respect. And respect is earned through strength, not through endless accommodation. Machiavelli understood this when he wrote that it's better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Now, before you panic, he wasn't talking about terrorizing people. He was talking about the psychology of consequence. When people know there's a cost to crossing you, they don't cross you. It's that simple. Think about the teachers who actually changed your life. Were they the ones who let you slide on everything? Or were they the ones who demanded excellence and held you accountable? Think about the coaches who made you better. Were they the ones who praised you constantly? Or were they the ones who pushed you beyond what you thought was possible? The people who truly impacted your life weren't trying to be liked. They were trying to help you grow. And growth requires discomfort. It requires someone willing to tell you hard truths even when you don't want to hear them. This is why nice people often finish last. Not because the world is cruel, but because they've made themselves powerless through their desperate need to avoid conflict. They've chosen temporary peace over lasting respect. They've chosen momentary comfort over meaningful relationships. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I embrace necessary conflict. Number 4. The power of strategic distance. Here's something that most people get completely backwards. They think being constantly available makes them valuable. They think always saying yes makes them indispensable. They think unlimited access to their time and energy makes them loved. They're wrong on every single count. Scarcity creates value. Always has, always will. When something is rare, people want it more. When something is common, people take it for granted. This applies to money, objects, opportunities, and most importantly, you. When you're always available, you become background noise in people's lives. They know you'll always be there, so they stop appreciating your presence. They know you'll always say yes, so they stop valuing your cooperation. They know you'll always forgive them, so they stop worrying about hurting you. But when your time becomes scarce, when your attention becomes limited, when your forgiveness becomes conditional, suddenly people start treating these things like the precious resources they actually are. Think about the people who have the most influence in any group. Are they the ones who show up to everything and agree with everyone? Never. They're the ones who show up when they choose to, speak when they have something important to say, and leave when they're ready. Their selective presence makes their actual presence more valuable. This is the power of what I call strategic distance. Not being cold or cruel, but being selective about where you invest your energy. Not being mean to people, but not being endlessly available to them either. Not punishing people for existing, but making them earn access to your time and attention. How this plays out practically is revolutionary. Instead of being the person who responds to every text immediately, you become the person who responds when it's convenient for you. Instead of being available for every request, you become selective about which invitations you accept. Instead of helping everyone who asks, you help people who deserve it and appreciate it. This isn't about being rude or selfish. This is about understanding that your time and energy are finite resources and treating them accordingly. When you give these resources away freely to everyone, they become worthless. When you give them selectively to people who value them, they become priceless. The beautiful thing about scarcity is that it's self-reinforcing. The less available you become, the more people want your attention. The more they want your attention, the better they treat you to get it. The better they treat you, the more selective you can afford to be. It's an upward spiral of respect and influence. But you have to be willing to lose some people in this process. The people who only valued you because you were easy to access will disappear when you become selective. Good. These weren't real relationships anyway. They were just people taking advantage of your availability. The people who stick around, the ones who respect your boundaries and appreciate your selective presence. These are the relationships worth having. They're based on mutual respect instead of your desperation to please. Machiavelli once said that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few experience what you really are. The less people see of you, the more they wonder about you. And curiosity is magnetic. Mystery creates influence. Predictability destroys it. Distance also gives you something even more valuable than respect. It gives you perspective. When you're not constantly trying to manage everyone else's emotions and opinions, you can actually think clearly about what you want. When you're not always reacting to other people's demands, you can be, this is why, the proactive about your own goals. Most powerful people often seem slightly detached. It's not that they don't care, it's that they don't care too much. They understand that emotional distance is necessary for clear thinking and good decision-making. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my availability. Number 5, the Machiavellian mindset shift. Now we get to the heart of what separates those who command respect from those who beg for scraps of attention. This isn't about becoming heartless or manipulative. This is about developing what Machiavelli called virtù, the combination of strength, intelligence, and strategic thinking that naturally commands respect. Most people operate from a mindset of scarcity and fear. They're afraid of being disliked, afraid of conflict, afraid of standing alone. This fear makes every decision for them. They choose comfort over growth, temporary peace over lasting influence, being liked over being respected. But people who understand real power operate from a completely different framework. They understand that respect is not given, it's taken. Not through force or manipulation, but through consistent demonstration of strength, competence, and unwavering principles. They know that every interaction is a test of boundaries, and failing that test means losing influence forever. Think about how this plays out in conversations. When someone tries to pressure you into something you don't want to do, most people either cave immediately or get defensive and emotional. Both responses signal weakness. The person with a Machiavellian mindset stays completely calm and simply says no without explanation or justification. They don't argue, they don't defend, they don't negotiate. They just maintain their position with unshakable certainty. This creates something psychologists call the authority effect. People automatically assume that someone who speaks with absolute certainty and doesn't seek validation must know something they don't. They start questioning their own position instead of challenging yours. Your refusal to engage in their manipulation attempts actually makes them respect you more. Here's what most people never understand. Confidence isn't about feeling good about yourself. Real confidence is about being completely okay with other people not liking you. It's about valuing your own judgment more than their approval. It's about being willing to stand alone if necessary, rather than compromise your principles for acceptance. When you develop this mindset, everything changes. You stop explaining yourself to people who wouldn't understand anyway. You stop justifying your decisions to people who aren't living with the consequences. You stop seeking permission from people who don't have your best interests at heart. Instead, you start making decisions based on what's best for you and the people you actually care about. You start speaking your mind, regardless of how others react. You start setting guilt or apt boundaries and enforcing them without ology. This shift from external validation to internal authority is what transforms approval seekers into respected leaders. Machiavelli understood that the world respects strength and despises weakness. Not cruelty, but strength. Not aggression, but power. Not manipulation, but strategic thinking. The people who succeed in life aren't necessarily the smartest or most talented. They're the ones who understand human psychology and use that understanding to create the outcomes they want. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I trust my own judgment above all others. Number 6, the consequence principle. Here's where most people completely fail in their relationships, careers, and life in general. They make threats they won't follow through on. They set boundaries they won't enforce. They establish rules they won't maintain. And then they wonder why nobody takes them seriously. Every single time you fail to follow through on a consequence, you're teaching people that your words don't mean anything. You're training them to ignore your boundaries, dismiss your requests, and walk all over you. You become someone who barks but never bites, and everyone knows it. But when you consistently follow through on what you say, when your words and actions always align, when people learn that crossing you actually costs them something, you develop what I call consequence credibility. People start taking you seriously because they know you're serious. This doesn't mean being harsh or cruel. It means being consistent and reliable. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. When you say something is unacceptable, you don't accept it. When you establish a boundary, you maintain it regardless of how people react. Let me give you a practical example. You have a friend who's constantly late to everything. Most people either complain about it endlessly but do nothing, or they adjust their own schedule to accommodate the lateness. Both responses train the person that being late is acceptable. A person who understands consequences handles it differently. They tell their friend once, clearly and calmly, that punctuality matters to them. The next time the friend is late, they leave. No drama, no lecture, no second chances. They simply implement the consequence they promised. The friend learns quickly that their behavior has costs, and they either adjust or remove themselves from the situation. This principle applies everywhere. In business, if you say you need something by a certain deadline, you don't accept it late without consequences. In relationships, if you say certain behavior is unacceptable, you don't tolerate it when it happens. In parenting, if you establish rules, you enforce them consistently. The beautiful thing about the consequence principle is that it actually reduces conflict over time. When people know that crossing your boundaries comes with immediate, predictable costs, they stop crossing them. You don't have to keep fighting the same battles over and over because people learn to respect your limits the first time. But here's the key insight that most people miss. The consequence doesn't have to be severe to be effective. It just has to be certain. People can handle almost any rule or boundary as long as they know it's real and consistently enforced. What they can't handle is uncertainty, inconsistency, and empty threats. This is why children of permissive parents often act out more than children of strict parents. It's not because they want to be bad. It's because they're constantly testing to find where the real boundaries are. When there are no consistent consequences, they keep pushing until they find something solid to push against. Adults do the same thing. They test your boundaries to see if they're real. Every time you fail to enforce a consequence, you're inviting them to test you again. Every time you follow through, you're showing them where the line actually is. Machiavelli wrote that it's better to be decisive and wrong than to be indecisive and right. People respect leaders who make clear decisions and stick to them, even if they disagree with those decisions. But nobody respects someone who can't make up their mind or who changes their position based on pressure. The consequence principle isn't about punishment. It's about clarity. It's about creating an environment where people know exactly what to expect from you and exactly what you expect from them. This clarity creates respect, trust, and ultimately, stronger relationships. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My boundaries are non-negotiable. Number 7, the authenticity paradox. Here's something that will completely change how you think about being yourself. Most people believe that authenticity means sharing everything, expressing every emotion, and being completely open about their thoughts and feelings. They think that hiding anything or being strategic about what they reveal makes them fake. They're completely wrong, and this misunderstanding is destroying their relationships and their influence. Real authenticity isn't about emotional vomiting on everyone around you. It's about being genuinely yourself while being strategic about how you express that self. It's about knowing who you are so clearly that you don't need others to validate it. It's about being consistent in your values while adapting your approach to different situations. Think about it this way. You naturally act differently with your grandmother than you do with your friends. You speak differently in a job interview than you do at a party. You present different aspects of your personality in different contexts. This isn't being fake. This is being socially intelligent. The authenticity paradox is that the most authentic people are often the most strategic about how they present themselves. They know their core values and principles, and they never compromise those. But they're also smart enough to understand that different situations require different approaches. Someone who truly understands authenticity doesn't feel compelled to share their entire life story with everyone they meet. They don't feel obligated to express every opinion they have. They don't feel guilty about keeping some things private. They understand that mystery and selective sharing actually create deeper connections than emotional oversharing. Here's what happens when you master authentic strategic presentation. People become more interested in you because you're not an open book. They respect you more because you have boundaries around what you share and with whom. They trust you more because you demonstrate that you can be discreet and thoughtful about sensitive information. Most people do the opposite. They share too much too quickly, trying to create intimacy through vulnerability. But forced vulnerability doesn't create real connection. It creates discomfort and often drives people away. Real intimacy is built slowly through consistent demonstration of trustworthiness and respect. The people who command the most respect understand that authenticity is about being true to your principles, not about broadcasting every thought and feeling you have. They know that selective sharing creates value, while oversharing destroys it. This is why the most influential people often seem slightly mysterious. They're not hiding who they are. They're just strategic about how and when they reveal different aspects of themselves. They understand that curiosity creates connection, while complete transparency often creates boredom. Machiavelli understood this principle when he wrote about the importance of maintaining dignity and authority. Leaders who share too much personal information lose their ability to lead effectively. People need to respect you before they can follow you, and respect requires a certain level of professional distance. This doesn't mean being cold or unapproachable. It means being warm and engaging while maintaining appropriate boundaries. It means being genuinely interested in others while not feeling compelled to match their level of disclosure. It means being yourself authentically without feeling obligated to explain or justify every aspect of who you are. The authenticity paradox teaches us that the most genuine people are often the most strategic about their genuineness. They know that real power comes not from revealing everything, but from revealing the right things to the right people at the right time. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose strategic authenticity over emotional exposure. You've just learned the 7 principles that separate those who command respect from those who beg for approval. The hidden weakness of people-pleasing that makes you invisible. The dark psychology of approval addiction that turns you into a puppet. The illusion of safety that actually makes you a target. The power of strategic distance that creates magnetic influence. The Machiavellian mindset that transforms weakness into strength. The consequence principle that makes your boundaries unbreakable. And the authenticity paradox that shows you how to be genuinely powerful. But knowledge without action is worthless. Right now, you have a choice to make. You can close this video and go back to your old patterns of seeking approval, avoiding conflict, and hoping people will finally recognize your worth. Or you can decide that today everything changes. The person who commands respect is waiting for you to claim them. The version of yourself who walks into rooms and changes the energy without saying a word. The version who doesn't explain, doesn't chase, doesn't beg, who simply exists with such certainty that others naturally align with your presence. Machiavelli once wrote that fortune favors the bold, but boldness isn't about being loud or aggressive. It's about being unshakable in your self-worth. It's about understanding that respect is not given freely, it's commanded through strength. Your transformation starts with this next interaction. Stop seeking validation, start commanding respect. The world is waiting for the real you to finally show up. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. I am worthy of respect without explanation. Remember, in a world full of approval seekers, the person who needs nothing holds everything.